Can you grow sweet potatoes in a Birdies raised garden bed? Yes, yes you can. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I did it. Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and welcome back to my meadow. In this video, I'm going to show you from start to harvest how I grew these sweet potatoes in my Birdies raised garden bed. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions about anything I did, please put them in the comments below. I love hearing from you. And of course, if you want to follow along all our crazy antics here in our Northeast Florida Zone 9A garden, then be sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's go back in time. In 2020, I planted sweet potatoes over there, and now we have had volunteers coming up. So I've taken the vines off of the volunteers and I've rooted them just like this. I kept, 6 to 8 inches of the vine, and then I shoved them down in some water and I've let them just get some roots, and you can see how much roots they've put on. And now what I want to find out is, just from cutting those slips and replanting them, can I grow sweet potatoes? So I'm isolating them away from the other sweet potato grows so I can actually get an experiment out of it. This is the Birdies bed. In this bed, we have at least 12 inches of soil. So I'm expecting it to do really, really well in here. I watched a few videos about it, but of course, I'm gonna try for myself. I am going to do my best to sort of get this at least 5 or 6 inches under the soil, so there's room for the sweet potatoes to vine laterally and to grow out sweet potatoes. I don't want to plant it right on the top because then there's no room for the sweet potatoes to grow without them coming out of the ground. So I figure if I get my hand down in here, that's probably deep enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and put that all the way in the ground like so. In there, and I'm going to let the soil fall back in on it. First one down. Since this is in a raised bed, I also did not plant it right against the edge. I wanted there to be room for the vines to spread out on either side. One of the pluses of working in nice, not compacted garden soil, being able to pull that back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 planted out there. I think I can put one more here. I think the fun thing about hand watering is that you get to see what's growing on up close. You get to check things out, see if things are eating your stuff. And if you're just coming out and turning on a sprinkler system, you might not otherwise see all that. I purchased my Birdies raised garden bed from Epic Gardening, and after receiving it, I decided to apply and become an affiliate for the Epic Gardening website. If you choose to make a purchase, that means I'll make a small commission on your order when you use my link or coupon code. I'll include that link here for you. It's michelleinthemeadow.com/epic. And when you use the coupon code MEADOW, you can also receive 5% off selected items. And I am thrilled that I can share what I've learned about growing sweet potatoes with you in this video. And over the next few months, the sweet potatoes grew and grew, and the vines overflowed the beds. We added some basil. They took over the trellis and they really put it on. Then as cold weather came, I started trimming them back, preparing them to be harvested, but was going to harvest a few at a time. Now as winter came, we lost the leaves, and I just left them in the beds for storage until I was ready to harvest them. Let's dig up some sweet potatoes. Now, ideally, I wish I could have waited until the soil was really dry to harvest these sweet potatoes. It's better for you, it's better for the sweet potatoes if they're drier when you harvest them. Unfortunately, I've been trying to do this for more than 3 weeks now, and just when it's almost dry, it rains again. So time is getting away from me, so I am just gonna take care of this. Then I'm going to lay them out to dry. Look at this beauty, and they were all connected in here. Take a look. Oh, I heard one crack. Oops. I broke some off, dang it. Patience, Michelle, patience. Somebody's been eating on that one, it's going to rot, but we'll break it off and save the other half. This one's already growing some slips, so I may put those into a jar and go ahead and grow those out, though I have some taller ones back over here. You want to try to avoid breaking them off because they're going to not last as long if they're broken off in storage. And so the ones that broke off I will use first for cooking. All these beautiful slips, I'll be able to grow more sweet potatoes this year because of that. Gosh, that's gorgeous. So this is 4 sweet potatoes still connected. There were more, but I kept popping them off. So there's this, and look at all those beautiful slips I have on top. They are such prolific growers and a great nutritious source of good calories, good carbs. And anytime you can mix color, this is an orange, into your diet, you're adding different nutrients as well. One of the things I tried not to do when I put these slips in the bed is I tried to bring them away from the sides a little bit. This is funny. This one was grown all the way into the curve. This one was growing into the curve of the corrugation of the raised metal bed. That's funny. It just went floop. I'll keep going. Nature will find a way. My number one goal of planting sweet potatoes in this bed was to see if they would grow from slips that were just cut off and had roots and were not attached to the sweet potato when I was growing it. So I did not turn any of these roots like this and put it into a jar of water. I literally clipped sweet potato vines as they were growing up and put those in the water. And mystery solved for me, yes, you can grow sweet potatoes from vines that you just cut off, which I guess really means that sweet potatoes are truly one of those perpetual crops. If you take care of the sweet potato and take care of the slips that are on them, I guess you could have sweet potatoes growing practically forever. And here are just slips not immediately attached to any potato. Just from a learning standpoint, this is all very fascinating to me. So literally from a couple of store-bought sweet potatoes, maybe even just one, I have all this. I've probably harvested over the past 2 years somewhere in excess of 40 or 50 pounds of potatoes growing from the grocery store. We basically now can have a sweet potato whenever we want, and I don't have to go to the store and buy them. I've got them stashed all over the place. I also thought it was interesting that some had this purple leaf and some have a green leaf. I don't know if that means they were different genetic makeups, but I mean, these all came from the same set of plants that I planted 2 years back. Now that, my friends, is a container load of deliciousness. I am going to take these slips off and I'm going to put them in water and hang on till I'm ready to plant sweet potatoes again, because I see another crop right here. Now before I eat these sweet potatoes, I am going to lay them out on some paper like this, and I'm going to stack them in the garage where they can be dry and have time to cure, because they're going to taste better if you give them a couple of weeks to let their sugar build up in there. I'm not going to wash them. After they dry, I will wipe some of the dirt off before I put them down for storing them longer. I'm in Florida, so I don't have a root cellar or anything like this, so the very best that I can do is wipe them down and store them in a closet or under a bed so they stay dry and cool until we decide we want to have a little sweet potato with our meal. One of the real advantages of growing in a Birdies raised garden bed like this is the height. Here is about 30 inches tall. The bed itself is about 3.5 feet wide and 6.5 feet long. And it's an amazing thing because of the height. It's super easy to plant the sweet potatoes. And of course, even easier to harvest them. No crawling around on the floor to dig them up, because I had this nice, loose, loamy soil. And since it wasn't compacted, the sweet potatoes were free to grow and roam, and it was really easy for me to dig up. I didn't need a rake or anything. I just used the claws I was born with. Now, you might see some of these smaller roots and think, well, there's a whole lot of tiny roots there. Yes, edible roots. And so even though they're not all big and giant, though I do have probably more than 20 good sized sweet potatoes and even one little monster right there, these little ones I'm still going to cure, and then I'll slice them up and use them in cooking. Maybe in frittatas, maybe in soups, maybe mixed in with other veggie bowls or things like that. But they will not go to waste. All of those are still absolutely edible. Another advantage is that it reduces the chance of critters digging around in your sweet potato bed. However, I will say these guys were poked out of the ground just a little bit, and someone did either claw or try to take a bite of them out of the ground. Though this is the only one I saw damaged, and I never saw any digging in this bed at all, other than these few marks. Well, my friends, I guess that answers that question. Yes, you can grow sweet potatoes from slips that were rooted without growing the slips right on a sweet potato, and you can grow them in a Birdies raised garden bed. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about the slips that I harvested off of the sweet potatoes. These were on several of the sweet potatoes. I have cut them. I've trimmed off all of the lower leaves, and any of the leaves that may have had some frostbite or damage, I cut those away too. We don't need this plant to focus on leaves right now, but we do need a little bit of a solar panel. We want roots so I can plant more sweet potatoes this spring. And so once I clean these up, again, taking off any leaves on the bottom, any leaves you leave under the water line, they will rot and turn your water sour. And now I just have my handy dandy soup container. I filled it with water and I am dropping them in there. Because some of them are shorter and they only come to about right here, I wanted to make sure that my water line didn't cover any of the leaves on the shorter ones. Now I can set this in a shadier area that may get a little bit of sun, add some water and check on it, and in a couple weeks I'll have some roots, just like you saw at the beginning of the video. And the cycle of growing more sweet potatoes will start again. One thing I would do differently is, in the video I talked about planting the sweet potatoes about that far away from the edge. I would probably go even further next time and maybe just plant the sweet potatoes in the center so they have room to go out in every direction. Until next time, my friends, remember to drink plenty of water, wear that high quality sunscreen, and as always, have a fantastic day.